So to start, this is groundwork. We do not have or use regular halters here. Regular as in, your typical halters that you see that are flat on the nose, the nylon, just wide band halters. We don't use bronc halters, none of the above. These are rope halters. And as you can see, they're pretty, stiff. They do have movement. They're soft to the touch, however, and they have these knots right here. My hands are filthy. It's horrible. I'm a horse trainer. They have these knots right here that are placed on each side of the nose, and they have pressure points, and they're there for a reason. When it's not being used and it's just on them, it's not uncomfortable. It's just like any other halter, it's just there. However, this is here if I need it. There are also rope halters that have knots that are not so coarse. They're a little bit finer rope, they're more flimsy, they are not as useful. The coarser, the better. Okay, so when I do my groundwork, I like to drop this down on her nose a little bit. I don't want it so low that it could disrupt this soft part of her nose right here. I don't want to, damage anything there. Not that I would be pulling on her, being aggressive to be able to do that. However, she's a very large animal, and if she was to get in a situation that, she got in trouble and got stuck, I don't even want that to be able to happen. So I like to drop it down her nose, but not too low. The reason I do this is for groundwork, not any other time. Never tied, never anywhere outside of groundwork, is because I want to be able to get her nose if I need to. It allows me to have a little bit more control and allows her to have a little bit more feel. So, anyhow, we always start our horses with flex, lateral flexion. That's what we teach them in the very beginning, outside of, just being halter broke and just your general ground manners. Lateral flexion is the next thing we teach before we teach anything else in the ground. The reason why that's so important is because there's several reasons why, as we all know, flexion is very important, especially in the sport that these horses are introduced to, which is 9 out of 10 times ground racing at 4.0, that is. Outside of that, the reason why it's so important for us to teach this to our horses is because it's a safe tool for us and for the horse. If we were ever in a position, let's just say a horse, started bucking or even was trying to rear, we're able to reach down, get their nose, and bring that horse's head around, bring their nose around. If our horses don't know lateral flexion, you can reach down all day long and pull, and the likeliness of your horse, you have to be really strong, if they don't know what this means. Even during something like that, if they've been taught and they know this motion, naturally they're going to respond much better to that. And it's really difficult for a horse to continue bucking as aggressively. And it's very easy, or excuse me, it's easier to gain control again of the situation as a rider, which, therefore lowers your risk of being injured and the horses as well. So this is like so important. I'm going on and on about it, but I cannot stress how important this is. Okay, so to start with the flexion, I am going to, we have a saddle on her because I want y'all to be able to see where we actually pull, like where we apply the pressure and why. If I was just teaching this horse or just doing, regular groundwork or whatever, I probably wouldn't have a saddle on her. I wouldn't if I'm teaching it, first of all. But if I was just doing a day of groundwork with this mare, I wouldn't have a saddle on her. I have this saddle on her for this video, and then I'm planning to ride her after. Anyhow, so doing the lateral flexion, I take my stick and string. This is a stick and string, and it's not a whip. It is an extension of my arm. It is to guide your horse and to apply and extend your energy, aka your pressure. So you take your stick and string. I like to, if I'm going to start on this side, I like to have my second string, even if she's bareback, no saddle, I like to have it on this side of her. It just kind of creates like a little barrier. All it's doing is just giving her like a training wheel, pretty much is what that's doing. So I like to put my second string here. This is my lunge line. I'm going to ask her to flex, and I'm going to apply my pressure. When I reach down and ask her, I'm going to pull here, because this area is where you would ask them to flex if you were in the saddle. And we try to teach them as much as we can on the ground before, first of all, if we're starting a horse, before we get them under saddle. Even if it's a horse that's already been saddle broke and comes to us, this is all the same, because if they learn this on the ground from here, it's that much easier for them to do it when you're under saddle. And it just makes the entire transition process so much more easy and simplified for the horse. So I've learned the more black and white you keep it, the better it is for them to learn and understand. It's them to flex if you were in the saddle. And we try to teach them as much as we can on the ground before, first of all, if we're starting a horse, before we get them under saddle. Even if it's a horse that's already been saddle broke and comes to us, this is all the same, because if they learn this on the ground from here, it's that much easier for them to do it when you're under saddle. And it just makes the entire transition process so much more easy and simplified for the horse. So I've learned the more black and white you keep it, the better it is for them to learn and understand. So anyhow, which, that's the way it's just supposed to be done. All right, so I'm going to apply the pressure, as I said, right here. And what I do is, I don't want her to move her feet. Whoa. Good girl. I'm going to ask her for her nose. Good girl. I'm going to ask for a little bit more. Good girl. Whoa. Whoa. Good girl. Okay. This mare actually knows this exercise. I haven't done a lot of groundwork with her lately because I've transitioned her to the barrels. And ta-da! And obviously I've spent more time in the saddle, but this is so important to continue to do with these horses, even your older horses. You never want to say, oh, they've already learned it, and go on and never go back to it. It's so important to always continue to do this. And I do this with her in the saddle and whatnot. But this is one reason why I chose her for this too. Same thing. I'm going to reach my hand up here and apply the pressure. And I don't want her to move her feet. I want her to stand still and flex. So I'm going to ask her, whoa. She wants to move her feet. I'm going to tell her, whoa. I'm going to ask her again. Whoa. Whoa. Good girl. Good girl. I didn't get upset or make a big deal out of it. I just kept moving with her, basically. I just kept going and kept asking her until she did it right. And then I released the pressure. That was the pressure. Me saying, whoa, whoa, telling her to quit moving her feet, asking her to. But I continued to ask her to do what I want. If she had flexed and kept moving her feet, I would have kept asking her and telling her, whoa. Because she flexed, but she didn't quit moving her feet. And this isn't just a flexed exercise. The whole exercise is to stand still and flex. So again, I bring my hand up here. I'm going to ask her, tell her, whoa, whoa, whoa. Good girl. Good girl. I'm going to ask her again. I'm going to keep doing this until she does it 100% right. Because this mare knows how to do this. I just want to stress that. If this was like a beginning horse, I know, okay, girl, I would not want or expect her to do it 100% right in one day. This mare knows how to do this. She's just a high energy horse. She sees my hand and she's like, okay, I'm doing it. And this is why we're using her. So anyhow, I'm going to ask her again. Good girl. Now, she's doing what I want. However, I know that she can do better. So, good girl. I'm gonna ask her until I get slack in my rope. Just watch this. You might come over here behind me just a little bit. I keep, and see, look, it's a continued, good girl. I only released right there because I wanted her to, good girl. I don't know if you could see that, but she finally dropped her nose in. I released, and then she did the second time. I am aware that she did move her feet. It was kind of like an in-between transition thing. Good girl. Okay, so I think we're good. All right.